It's your friends back at Carallel with the July edition, July 2024 edition of our Caregiver Conversation series. Matt Perrin, Director of Caregiver Engagement at Carallel, back for another session. And I'm joined by Sheila Schultz. Hey, Sheila.
Hey, Matt, how are you today?
I'm well. Good to have you. Thanks for joining. If you've been on one of these sessions, Sheila's probably a familiar face by now. We work very, very closely together at Carallel. Sheila's a care advocate, certified dementia practitioner, and so much more. But she's a fantastic person to have here with us for today's session, which is a little bit different. It's a guided meditation for family caregivers. So we'll have a little bit of conversation on the bookends at the start and at the end. But the meat of the session will be Sheila taking us through one of her meditations, which I am very excited about because I'm not really a meditation person, but we'll get into that later. So a little bit of housekeeping, Sheila, real quick, per usual. If you're joining one of these sessions for the first time, thanks. Thanks for being here. We're glad you're here. We're Carallel. We're a part of Carallel, I should say, Sheila. But we're a caregiver support company. Our mission every day is to make caregiving easier. We do that with our team of care advocates who are providing one-on-one personalized support over the phone, email, chat, or in our digital experience. It's just, that's our mission every single day, is to lighten the load that caregivers are carrying just a little bit. And we make our service available through health plans, employers, health systems across the country. If you're not sure whether or not you have access to the full service, just ask your health plan or employer or health system, and they'll let you know. So, and the second piece of housekeeping is the fact that these are conversations. A little bit of a caveat today, but there's not, you'll never see slides in these sessions. I guess I should never say never, but they're meant to be conversations by design, because we as caregivers need to talk, frankly, and need real talk. That's that. So did I miss anything, Sheila?
I think you got it all.
All right, I got it. Like host, producer, it's a lot to manage over here. But let's jump into this today. Actually, I did forget something. Last bit on the fact that these are conversations by design. If you have perspectives to share, questions, comments, please do share them in the chat window or the Q&A window down at the bottom. You should see it in the bottom of your Zoom console. We'd love for you to be a part of the conversation. That's why we do these. So anything that you share, we'll incorporate into our discussion live. But if there are questions or things you need answers to after the fact, we'll follow up with you and make sure you get what you need that way as well. So, okay, now that's really it for the housekeeping. And Sheila, I want to start this by with an admission, I guess. And that admission is I'm not a meditation person. I totally understand it. I get it. I believe that there's value in it. I enjoyed it. We did one of these sessions last year with Dr. Jeff Rubin, our chief clinical officer. I really enjoyed that. But I'm still not a meditator. Like I haven't hit my meditation stride, I guess. So like, can you just talk a minute about what it is, what it isn't, and how it could benefit caregivers? And I guess the last piece is like how people like me, who maybe don't think of themselves as meditation people, can sort of dip our toes in those waters.
Sure. Yeah. And I think what's important to hear, Matt, is that you're like most people, especially caregivers. There's no time, and it feels like a chore. It feels like something you have to learn and something you have to get good at. And I kind of equate it to, fitness and exercise is good for us. And but to carve out that time and do it seems like a chore. And the way that I think of meditation, and everyone has a different definition, but for me, I think it's paying attention to what's happening in your personal space in any given moment. And that could be thoughts that come up, emotions, sensations that you feel through your senses, without analysis or judgment. It's allowing those feelings or what you're noticing to be there without the urge to do something about them. So, in that respect, we don't have to have a formal practice of sitting and trying to get there. We can find ways to do this throughout the day. And I think today's meditation that we're going to be doing is a little bit different than what most people are used to. But it's just giving us a framework where we can possibly take that into little tiny moments during the day. And it can make a big difference over the long haul.
I love that piece. Thank you for that. But I really love the point you're making there, or the expectation that you're setting, I guess. Maybe it's a little bit of both, but because that's part of it. And something you said really resonated with me. Like it feels, or it's felt feeling a little bit less now that the more I learn about it, but it's felt like a chore. You use that word. And I think for me anyway, that's been one of my barriers is, particularly when I was in the midst of my caregiving.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to uh, hear more about that, I guess. So like, let me give you a scenario, real quick. Like middle of the day, my father-in-law, I'm getting his lunch. I'm trying to work. Um, I'm making sure that, he's remaining safe at the table. Um, I'm trying to fix the kitchen because it's a mess. Like, could I incorporate, like in your description, the way you were talking about it, could I, you know, step into the bathroom for a quick meditation? Like, is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I mean. And it's not something that you even have to, once you get used to doing it, you don't even have to go somewhere to do it. You don't have to have a certain set of circumstances. I think when people think of meditation, they're like, oh, I have to get a pillow and I have to be quiet and I have to cover my eyes. And
Mhm.
it once you start practicing this, it becomes second nature and you can step away and even just turn around and get there very quickly. So it is a matter of doing it as often as you can, but it doesn't have to be for long periods of time.
Okay. Well, consider my interest peaked. Um, so let's set the stage here and get into it, shall we?
Sure.
And again, um, I think Sheila, so we're going to go off camera, right? Can we
Yeah.
actually just talk about that for a second and let the audience sort of understand why we're doing that?
Sure. And I think that um, sometimes when we're on camera like this, it's really easy to get distracted by the speaker. And I'm just trying to eliminate one of the possible distractions so you could really focus in on listening to my voice. And this is going to be very sort of conversational. So it's very different than maybe some of the meditations you've heard before. There are some aspects that will take you into something that sounds a little bit more familiar. But I think taking us off camera will just give everyone the opportunity to settle in and listen to a little bit of guidance and see how it goes. And then we'll talk about it after.
Awesome. So let's do it. I'm going to shut my camera off.
Okay.
And I'm also going to mute myself
All right.
and take it away.
Okay. So I want to start by saying that one of my teachers once talked about the art of meditation. And he used to say, it's about learning how to let go of the meditator. And he'd say, the meditator is that part of you that's trying to meditate well, that's trying to empty your mind or attain a certain state or get a feeling of peace or calm and thinking that you have to do something special to get there. But I'm going to take his thoughts a step further and say that meditation can be about pausing for a brief moment to simply notice to listen to your thoughts, notice what you're sensing, or feel your feelings without the urge to come up with a plan to act on them, to fix something or change something or keep busy. To let go of the idea of how things should be and for just a moment allow things to be exactly as they are. And this, believe it or not, takes some practice. So today we're going to work on resilience training. And it's really, I think, important for caregivers for us to, just as you were saying earlier, um, how to step away from a tough situation and go back to this place of noticing. So we're going to start now and sit comfortably. See if your back could be a little bit straighter than not, without feeling strained or overarched. You can close your eyes if you want to. You don't have to, whatever feels most comfortable for you. And many of you may have heard that we often guide people to focus on their breath. And I will be doing that today. But know that you don't have to choose this area of your body, because some people have issues and they when they focus on their breath, it makes it more difficult. So if this doesn't feel right for you for any reason, I want you to choose another place in your body, like your hands or your feet. Think your fingertips, your toes, and take what I say about the breath and apply it as best you can to this other area of your body instead. So the important thing is that you're focusing on a physical sensation. So let's begin. See if there's a place where you feel your breath most distinctly. Maybe that's when you're breathing in and out, you might feel it in your nostrils. Some people feel it in the rise and fall of their chests. Other people feel it in their abdomen. So just take a moment and see if there's a place where you feel your breath the most, a place where your breath is most clear for you. And I invite you to bring your attention there and just rest. See if you can just notice it for one breath without any concern about it. And see if you can notice or pick up on any sensations in this particular part of your body. Now, when we do this, there may be sounds around you. Some you're going to like, some you might not like. And there's no need to wish that they would stick around or push them away. So allow those sounds to be where they are. Allow them to come and go as they will. Same thing with thoughts and emotions. Sometimes they might pop into your head, start swirling around. And if they're not really strong, just let them flow on by. You're just breathing this one breath. Now, if something, a distraction or a feeling comes up that is really strong and you get pulled away and you're lost in thought or wrapped up in emotion, don't worry about it. This thought or worry, see if you could notice it without caring too much about it. It's what's happening for you in this moment, and that's all right. There's no need for discipline. And if you notice that you've been gone or you get distracted, that's when you get to practice letting it go and returning to the sensation that you chose at the beginning. So you just let go of the thought, oops, I got distracted. I'm thinking something. I'm going to go back to the feeling in my body. And we're going to practice this shift back to the body very gently. We notice we've left. We escort our attention back to the feeling of the breath to begin again. So, this meditation today is about noticing that you're gone, letting go of that distraction, and going back to where you started. Noticing, letting go, and beginning again. If you leave, you haven't failed. You're not doing anything wrong. It's our conditioned habit to get distracted and to stray away from the present moment. So each time we discover that we've drifted away, we have an amazing opportunity to practice letting go and starting over. No matter how many times you have to do that, it's totally fine. And as a matter of fact, we're not practicing how to stay present. We're practicing returning to the feeling of your sensation or your emotions and letting them be there just as they are. It's to see if we can notice that we've left, to be grateful that we've noticed, and to gently take the focus off of where we went and return our attention back to the feeling or sensation in your body. We call this resilience training because if you're able to do this with your breath or another part of your body, it's going to become easier to do it in your everyday life. When distractions pull you away from the present moment where everything's just fine, and they will, to come back. It's a life skill that we can bring us back as into a feeling of balance more quickly in difficult times, especially as caregivers. So let's focus one more time on the sensation in your body, wherever you chose that. You may in this moment feel a deep sense of relief at not having to be in charge of anything. You don't have to plan or solve or fix anything. It's a chance to abide. It's permission to rest. And now, after one or two more breaths, or noticing the sensation somewhere else in your body, when you're feeling ready, you can open your eyes or lift your gaze, and we'll end the meditation.
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome. I'm curious to know how you felt, Matt, when you did that, and if it felt different than it was very quick. We had a quick session. And I wanted to leave time for questions or comments.
Yeah, and it's meant to be quick. It's meant to give hopefully people that are like me, a quick but meaningful sort of introduction or entree into this practice, and hopefully to get a glimpse of how it it could fit into their day, their life, and ideally sort of make things um, be a tool for them, I guess, is kind of how I think about it.
I think,
Um,
sorry, I was just going to say that I think as caregivers, we and everybody really, but when we're so busy taking care of someone else, we don't notice how much of what we're creating is adding to the chaos of the day. And it's this internal chaos that is in addition to the actual caregiving. So that's what this attempt, it's a different kind of meditation, is to do, is to um, recognize that when we feel like we have to take care of someone and handle the thoughts and emotions and feelings that come up in our body, it's just too much.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see that. So a couple of things, reactions, and if others have reactions to share, please do share. Questions for Sheila, etc. Um, so what I really appreciated about this particular meditation was the emphasis on noticing
Mhm.
and not judging, or and sort of fighting the urge to take some action. Um, so I really appreciated that. The distraction part is real, I think, for all caregivers, particularly when we're talking about little micro sessions of meditation in the middle of a day, in a moment here or there. But I'm I work from home. I have 3 daughters. It's summer, they're not home. And I think my youngest was like trying to ride the dog or something back there. So I had distractions aplenty, and I can see that's where the practice would come in, because I'd be lying if I said I just didn't even hear it, because I did, and I want
That's not the point. Yeah, I think
right. So,
there's a go ahead.
but and I can see why you said it's not the point, and I didn't do what you were instructing us to do in that moment when the distractions. I didn't just sit with the distraction and let it be.
Mhm.
I it got to me. I guess
Sure
is the
does.
way to
Yeah,
put
Matt,
it.
this
So
is so good to hear because
yeah,
it's real, and this is what it is, and that's why I mentioned it is our natural tendency to get distracted.
right.
And I think that people have this false idea that when people meditate for a year, and I have meditated for many years, that I just always stay in the present. No way.
Hmm.
But I'm able to move back more quickly than many because I just keep practicing it. It's not in the staying where you are, it's in recognizing that you're gone and coming back. So if you
Hmm.
have to come back 1,000 times, you're doing better than someone who hasn't noticed that they've been gone.
Right. It's
That's what it's about.
interesting. Yeah, and I just I really like I really the word noticing really resonated with me. And it's not related, but I just recently read this book called The Inner Game of Tennis. It's not really about tennis, it's about life.
Mm,
But it's all about it's the book has been around for 50 years. Highly recommend for anyone that looking for a good book. Um, but it's all about noticing. It's about
right.
the premise is, how to get into the zone,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
and I'm generalizing to as much as I can here, but like it's all about noticing as opposed to judging yourself, right?
Right.
So, I hit a bad shot, I'm a bad tennis player. No, just noticing where you hit the ball, or how it felt, or the sound it made when you hit the ball, like noticing instead of um always judging, always.
Right. And trying
uh
to improve on it or trying to fix
Right,
it. And
because the more you in the book, the more you try and fixate on that, try and improve or try and do it again. If it was good, you're getting tight and tense, and
Matt, this is
right.
beautiful. This is
So
my next thing is that adds tension to our bodies. That resistance, that struggle to try to fix something has side effects down the road, physically and emotionally. We get more tired and we think it's the caregiving that's making us tired. And in many cases it is tiring, of course. But when we add that extra tension, it is compounding the exhaustion and honestly the negative health effects on our bodies.
yeah. See, look, I was into meditation without even knowing it, just by
Yes, you
reading
were.
this book.
Yep.
So we have a couple minutes left. We'll sort of move. I guess one last question, Sheila, for the audience is, so I liked this. I want to go do it. I want to try and incorporate, right, this into my life. And what would you advise me to do? Like, how would I do that? What's a way that I could do that and keep it feeling not like a chore?
Yep. Use your senses. So you don't even have to step away. Pick one of the senses that is most appealing to you. And in the moment, you're getting frustrated. Something has happened for the gazillionth time. You can't believe you have to do this thing again. And choose one of them. What can I listen for that would sound good to me? What can I hold that would feel good to me? Pick one of your senses and focus on that for 10 seconds. It takes the attention away from the thoughts and emotions and stress and brings it back to a visceral feeling or a sensation. It's those little things. That's all you have to do, but many, many times a day, and that will build up over time.
Hmm. So, okay, so devil's advocate here, many times a day, you just lost me because that
Mm,
feels chory. That
sorry,
feels like, but,
sorry,
but,
but it's
but, but like,
seconds.
but so it's like, yeah, so you start once, just start once,
Oh,
and
you bet.
then,
Yeah.
try it again. And I'm asking, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that's how it should
The
be.
more you do it, the
Because,
more you will realize how little time it takes. It's like, picking up your phone
right.
and feeling your fingers touch the phone or noticing the air touching your skin. That's it.
Hmm.
You're done.
I
It's
see.
those little moments
So it really is, a practice.
of
Um,
noticing.
right. Okay. Um, hmm. All right. This is fantastic. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I'm gonna just I'm gonna drop I'm just looking for the information for the August session to give people a heads up on that. Um, we do have 90 seconds left. If any of the audience has a question for Sheila, bear with me 1 second. So we
I should
have it.
just mention too, Matt, while you're looking that up, that there are many different kinds of meditation, and I've done and I've facilitated many kinds. It's just that when we talk about this kind, where we're trying to make it as simple as possible, and it's just such a simple thing just to notice. It's built into us, this noticing thing,
Yeah.
and we have these five senses available to us. So it's an easy way to step into it without having a formal practice.
Yeah, and I thank you for that. And the reason I want to get into it so much is, and even now when I'm not caregiving, but especially when I was in the middle of it, I just needed, and whether I knew it at a certain point, but I felt it without knowing it before. I'm convinced of that. Like I needed some way to ground myself,
Mm,
to just like
right.
stop, to shut everything down. Um, because I would just get involved. I was just talking with a friend the other day who's currently caring for her mom, and she was bringing me right back because she was just so enveloped in it, and
Right.
it's all consuming, and so I needed something like this as sort of like a break glass in case of emergency thing. But
Hmm.
what I'm hearing from you and what I'm learning the more I learn about meditation is that it can be that, I guess, but
Hmm.
it's it's more powerful, or can be more powerful, more impactful if it's a proactive practice, right?
Yes.
Because it can sort of reduce the frequency with which you find yourself in that place where you're just fully enveloped by everything caring for your person,
Absolutely. This has
right?
to be on purpose. So we
Right.
breathe all day long, but most of the time we don't notice. When
Yeah,
you breathe
right.
on purpose, it's very different.
Exactly. I love that. I love that. Okay. So I have the chat or link in the chat to our caregiver conversations page on Carallel.com. Our next session is August 22nd, noon Eastern, like normal. And we're talking about 5 ways to practice good preventative care. Preventative care is something we talk a ton about with the caregivers we help, both preventative care for their loved one, but also for themselves as caregivers. So that's what we'll be diving into on the 22nd of August at noon Eastern. So hope you can join us then. And by the way, I should mention, at that link in the chat, we also have all the replays of all the sessions we do there as well. So there's lots of good stuff. And with that, we will sign off. Thank you for being here, Sheila. That was awesome. Thanks. And
You are welcome. My
all the
pleasure.
best until we talk again.
Take care.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.